I mean, it looks freaking mean from the front. Nice, wide, squatty. Everything's just working. It's working really well together. Just looks freaking awesome. I am super happy with it. Hey guys, welcome back to my wide body Mustang build. If you have not already checked out the first original one where I started talking about the kit and kind of the details of like all the parts and pieces, go check that one out. Today I did buy the Clecos. I did get kind of going on them. So that's the Cleco itself right here. Really cool. They make it easier to just kind of mock parts up. As you can see, I only have two in there and it's holding it true. It comes with a set of pliers and you place it into the Cleco pliers. If you look right there at the very tip, when you push out, the piece actually gets narrower at the tip, and then when you place it through with an 1/8 inch hole, it goes through the innermost panel, grabs a hold of it right there. When you come back, everything starts to open back up, grabs that inner panel and sucks the two panels together. What's cool is it's temporary, right? The hole isn't itself, but the Cleco is temporary. But everything's lining up really nice. As you can see here, it's just a smidge off, but underneath, let's see, right up here, there's a tab right here that I could put another piece of hardware or something up there, like a stainless steel screw. And if you look, it'll actually bring it right in, and I can adjust how it lines up for the body lines and make sure all the gaps are the same. I have a couple of different types of jacks around to hold up. This one's holding up the front end of the rocker here, and this jack right here, the scissor type jack, is going to be holding up the back side of one over here. I'm going to get this all mocked up, set up here. Another really handy thing to have are these little self-tapping screws here. So you can actually use these to grab some pieces and pull them together. So what I'm going to do with this is, obviously there are no dimples on the side rocker here, the side skirt here, to put on like there are on the others right here. So what I'm going to do is go underneath, and if you could see, let's see. So you see this? That is actually going on to the bottom of the rocker of the car, and I'll be able to use some self-tappers to hold that up and suck this up tight into there, and it'll hold it, and then I can use it and I can actually pull that screw out. That's actually how I did my last kit. What I did was I used those self-tappers instead of the Clecos, and it worked pretty well. It wasn't as predictable or as precise. You can't tell in the finished product, but there's so many pieces on this car. I really wanted to take my time and do the right things. So the self-tappers are good, but they are limited to what they can do. Things like this help out a ton. So we're going to sit here, get this one mocked up, get it attached to the car temporarily, and then we'll put this piece on here, make sure that all lines up perfectly. And then I already kind of started checking this rear quarter out here to see how it was going to line up. It was going to line up good. Still got to get all this goo off from the last side scoop and clean it up, but this is just, we're just putting parts on there right now just to make sure they all fit, and if I'm going to do any body work or adjustments. So far, nothing. So I'm pretty happy. I'm going to get this bottom rocker here attached, and then I'm going to get back with you guys. Okay, so what I did is I went ahead. I didn't want to bore you guys with doing the complete other side, which is basically a mirror image of this side. So what over here, I put all this together. There's only a couple of spots that actually came out to where I actually feel like I need to do a little bit of tweaking and whatnot. It's just going to be this front piece, kind of like on the other side. What it is there's a flange behind here that's flat, and I think it's used for like probably putting like 3M tape or something on. It's a little bit too far out, but you could tell that if I press in and collapse that, it all lines up really well. So I'm gonna have to go in here. I really don't want to have to put that much force on it to get it to fit correctly, so I'm gonna modify the part up behind so that it'll actually lay on there better, and like when I bolt it on, it'll just be where it's supposed to be. And I might have to do some fiberglass work on the inside, I'm not sure, but just little things like that. And then I'm thinking also about these. I don't believe are supposed to be adhered to the top part up here, but because this right here is going to be the only hardware that's holding it on, plus, actually, take that back, it'll be hardware here, and underneath I've actually Clecoed these two pieces together from the bottom side, so there'll be some hardware down there. But what I don't like is how long this part is, and it is going to grab some air, as you can see. So I don't want this to sit here and be pulling out really hard. So I may make these two pieces right here, I may make these two pieces joined. So I may do some adhesive and put that together and do some body work. I don't know if I'll make it smooth or if I'm gonna do all that and then kind of cut a line to make like a body line or mimic a body line. I'm not sure. Whatever kind of looks the best. But anyway, everything else lined up really well. Across the door, everything looks really tight. Everything's really nice. So what we're gonna do, now that I have both front pieces, or excuse me, both sides done, since both sides are done, I'm gonna take and put the front splitter on. The splitter has these two parts right here where I'm gonna cleco from the bottom up into that, and then I believe what I'm going to be doing also is having a piece of hardware go through here and attach right into here, and then it probably have some cleco sorts right here as well on the edges. So I may have to oversized drill a piece down here in order to put hardware straight through and get a tool in there. I'm not sure. I'm going to kind of get it down there, get the jacks up, and then make it to where it just sits there. I'll show you guys that after I get it mocked up, and then I'm gonna start doing some holes and drilling and then get the cleco set up so it'll actually be on the car just like everything else is. It's looking really great. Oh, another thing too I did pull off the side scoop up here. This is leftover, so they actually had like a it's like a synthetic Velcro, so they actually interlock with each other and they can reuse it on and off again. So I took them off knowing that I could put it back on real easily. I just wanted to see, since I'm changing so much of the car, do I actually need that rear scoop up top? I'm not sure. So this is the side without it. And then this side, I left it on so I can go back and forth and reference. And this is the side with it. I mean, it definitely does fit. Go back over here real quick. The scoop does make sense from being here to there. They do look they kind of complement each other. I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. I'm thinking I may put it back on. It just adds a lot more, kind of continues that look throughout the entirety of the vehicle. So it looks really good without it. It looks good with it. I don't think there's really a wrong answer. Comment down below. Tell me what you think, with or without it. I'm 50-50 right now. I'm on the fence. So maybe you guys can help me justify a reasoning of why or why not to. Okay, so I got the front lip, the splitter, if you want to call it that, all mocked up on the car. I do have jacks underneath it to help me hold it there. But what I'm having to do is go underneath here, so I'm going to slide the camera underneath. There's a couple of that white flange right there marries up with the bottom of this black flange underneath, and I'm gonna go under. I have to jack the car up, and I'll have to put clecos from the bottom up to pin it together, and that's gonna mimic where the hardware is gonna be. So there should be probably 2 to 3 here, because then as you can see, it starts to create this gap to kind of start mimicking all this all the way around, and then there'll be 2 to 3 over here, and then I'm debating on throwing a piece of hardware here, because it could also be 3M taped. I'm not sure. It could be 3M taped, or it could have some hardware. But I'm gonna do that based off of aesthetics, not necessarily function, because the 3M tape's pretty ridiculous for how well it holds. I've used it a lot on the other kits that I put on this car. The scoops that I've had, they've been on for like 5 years, and I've done the half mile with it, well over 170 miles an hour, and it's still nothing ripped off. So it does well. Granted, and there's gonna be also hardware with it. These clecos, I know they've been around for probably ever. These are the first time that I have used them, and putting this front splitter on any other way would have been a nightmare. You can't see where I put any of them. They're all underneath here. See if I can get the camera down here. So there's the clecos. So what I did is just put those up there where I was kind of mocking up where I'm going to put the hardware, right? And it just sucked everything really well all together. I have a couple over here, about 2 here. I'm probably going to end up with 3. I have 1 at each one of those little white posts, and then I have 2 more over there right now. That's it. That's all that's holding this up. The clecos, I'm telling you, it's where it's at. If you're gonna have to put something together that has a lot of pieces and you're gonna have to mock it up and play around with alignment and whatnot, 100% the way to go. I wouldn't have done it any other way. I actually wish I would have known about them for the fenders that I put on earlier. So at this point, I'm probably jumping around on the video a little bit, but I do not have the rear bumper in. So now I can start moving on to that. I have those. I'll start putting the rear bumper together. Once that's done, it's going to come down to just going through and putting every Cleco in, making sure it's exactly where I want it, adjusting some of these fiberglass pieces so that they'll just fit the car perfectly, and then getting the riv nut kit, putting all the riv nuts in, and then I will go back through and put all of the kit together 100% with the hardware and with the fiberglass and body adjustments that I made as if it was painted. That way when I do paint it, I'm not going to regret, like with a really nice finished paint job on a part and I'm having to alter it some way. I don't want to do that. That ends up being a nightmare. But I do have to tell you, this kit is turning out better than I thought. I had high hopes for it, don't get me wrong, and I was super pumped about it. But there's always that like wondering if, you know, never seen one in person. I never talked to anybody that's done one, so I don't really know what little secrets there are to make sure the kit fits properly or whatnot. But when it comes to this, I mean, there's not really a whole lot of secrets, just a little bit of patience, some time to sit there and adjust, a helping hand to kind of help put some of these bigger parts on that you don't need. Like my wife comes in clutch for those kinds of things, so she comes out here and helps me put the hood on, help me get the bumper lined up. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it's pretty much doable by yourself for darn sure. A little bit of prior experience would definitely help you with some body stuff if you haven't done it before, but in the same respect too is if you just have some patience and are willing to take the time and work through the problems and not rush it, and be willing to ask questions or look for those things on YouTube and watch what other people ran into and the problems they had and how they overcame and fixed them. And it doesn't have to be the same kit as your car. You know, when I was doing my fenders, I saw like TJ Hunt had his, I can't remember what vehicle he had. It might have been the Rocket Bunny kit he was putting on. It was a long time ago. But he was the one that had, like, he told me about the Downstar hardware. He talked about the different types of the rubber stripping to put around to the body panels to fit to your car. So I got a lot of things from people like him that were willing to cut their car up for the sake of a video and because that's what they wanted to do, and learn from what they found out, some of the do's and don'ts. And you know what, that's kind of how you do it. I mean, be afraid to do anything to your car. I mean, a lot of people might sit there and go, I really don't want to cut up a, you know, well, when these cars are brand new, they're getting more expensive now, but this was a little over $40,000. So when you're looking at that and you're willing to take a grinding wheel or a cutoff disc to it and you're going to cut the fenders, I mean, the front fender, like, you're like, okay, no big deal, I can unbolt that and put it on. But when you come back here and you cut off the back quarter, you know, that's not going to be a bolt-on, bolt-off part. So it is definitely a commitment, well worth it, especially if you're into this type of look. If this is your flavor of a build, you got to just be willing to do it. And I'm going to tell you, you're not going to regret it. All right, so I got the rear bumper off. The rear bumper actually was a little bit more into it than I thought it was going to be. There's a lot of hidden fasteners, hidden brackets. So let me show you. So if you have a 2015 and you're trying to do this, there's a lot of hidden fasteners. A lot of these are just clips that the bumper actually clips into this bracket system here all the way around pretty much. However, right here there are two bolts that are hidden behind this inner fender liner, and then there's two bolts underneath here on this bracket, here and here, and then the same on the other side. You do have to get in there and take your taillights out in order to get to it, so that's kind of why all that's in there, and you have to take the inner liner out as well to access some of the clips. But other than that, it came off. I'm going to be able to get the other bumper from the kit mocked up and see if I can get it to actually fit the way I'm hoping everything else is fit, so that'd be great. And then I'll be able to put the rear quarter back on. That's why I had to take them off, just because I had to get access to these areas over here. And then I'll start Clecoing all those back on, get this rear bumper in. If you have the premium pack like I do, you have the kicker sub that is actually mounted like it was supposed to hold the car up. But you have to get in there and uncover that with some Torx bits and then pull that out so you can get to the bolt for the taillight. We're going to grab the bumper from the kit and we're going to put that bumper on here, and then we'll actually have to take the exhaust off too, because this exhaust isn't going to line up with anything on the bumper, the new one. They just don't have holes for it. It actually is a mid-exit like I was talking about earlier. So I will have to sit there and move that exhaust and transition it up and maybe get some different bends and weld up a setup and have a center exit. So I'll show you guys all that here in just a second. So I have the bumper over here now. It's a 2-piece bumper setup. So you have the splitters, if you guys haven't seen it already. And there's where the exhaust has to exit out of. It's actually where the license plate used to be, but that's going to be the exhaust exit. But this top up here, it looks like it's not going to be set up the exact same way. So I will have to take off all of these brackets that receive the old style or the factory style bumper. And this actually has a rolled lip that will actually fit up in here. And it looks like, I'm going to have to figure out how to really, I'm going to mount that. It looks like they're really primarily hinging off the fact that you're going to be mounting it. I'm not sure quite really. They have a really nice reinforced bracket setup right here with all fiberglass and a big old flange with some pre-drilled holes. So I'm wondering where that's going to line up and kind of what I'm going to have to do, or where I'm going to have to actually, where that's going to fit. It may actually hook into the original bracket, maybe. I don't know. I'll put it up there, see where it lines up. I'm going to pull this exhaust off and see how it sets on the car. So I was just talking to you guys about the bumper and how it was going to fit back on the car, and it just has to be pushed in a little bit here, but it all lines up really nice. Those flanges that I was showing earlier with the 4 holes, they line up actually with the rear bracket that was holding the OEM part of the bumper. And if I can get the camera in here correctly so you guys can see it, I mean, there you go. There's the bolt sticking out right there. That's just an extra hole. There's the other bolt. Those are the 2 bolts that were holding the factory piece on. For a fiberglass part, you can't get much better than that. I mean, for it just to drop in, I mean, even the tab here got through the keeper tab on this side, matched up with the keeper tab on this side right here. There's just a little bit, I mean, ever so slightly. I don't know if the actual tail lamp will cover this little bit of protrusion or not, but I mean, it is fiberglass, and like I said earlier, we got to tweak some parts just a little bit. The bumper is back off the car. I just put it on there to mock it up to see if there wasn't something that I was missing. So I have the bumper assembled. It's a 2-piece. The reason why I had to do this is the splitter, or the diffuser, excuse me, is too wide for me to get back up underneath the backside and then fasten the clecos to this webbing piece right here all the way around. Got a couple spots down here. So this is clecoed right here together on the other side. And I have one upside down here, so I have room to fit the lights when I need to, and I don't have to remove it. Have another one here, and then just a mirror image on the other side. So now that it's all kind of put together, temporarily I suppose, we'll put this up, put it back on the car, and you guys actually get to see what this is going to look like sitting on the ground, all assembled. Get a really good idea of how this car is going to feel. So this is going to be pretty cool. Everything looks really freaking awesome. Everything lines up really, really well. That's got a tall wheel gap because I just had the car jacked up and it hasn't settled down. It is a little bit high like we talked about earlier, but it's not that high. Everything is lining up really, really nice. I really couldn't be much happier with it. The only thing that I didn't notice that I'm not entirely happy about is the hole right here for the exhaust. That right there is the crash bar. Not entirely sure how you're going to be able to get that all dialed in. Let me see if I can turn the light on here. So yeah, so if you can see, it's limited space. That's the one thing that's not like very straightforward. As straightforward as this kit has been, this is surprising. I'm not entirely sure what I'm looking at here. If this was actually intended for an exhaust, it makes sense because there's no spot for the exhaust anywhere else. So yeah, we'll have to see. But I mean, like, look how like everything is lining up perfect. This is the bracket right here for the factory bumper on the bottom. There's those 2 holes right there, and on the other side, and it's like right there. It's perfect. I mean, everything they've done has been flawless in my opinion, other than the intent for this exit here. They even have the openings here that I'm gonna have to put the other side markers right there into here. There is no license plate spot. That's another thing. I'm believing that this is designed for like a track car application. If they didn't just throw one on there, or if they just expect you to put one on. I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to do with that at. We'll have to see. Other than that, I'm very happy with how this is all turning out. It looks really awesome. Like even like these angles right here, just to kind of see, like, that is insane. This thing, I mean, it looks freaking mean from the front. Nice, wide, squatty. Everything's just working. It's working really well together. Little side shot here, coming around. This is the scoop side off. Let's get a pan out here. A little tight in the garage. Just looks freaking awesome. I am super happy with it. This is that side with the side scoop on here. But yeah, this is looking phenomenal. All right, if you're liking this, guys, please like, comment, subscribe, ask questions. If you have questions, I'm more than happy to answer them the best that I can. Please stay tuned for the next video that I'm going to put out for this. It's just going to be a continuation. We're going to be doing all the bodywork prep, maybe the exhaust at that time, most likely, since it should be the one that happens before all the body paint. But we're going to be working through this, and it's looking great. And pretty soon I'm going to be having to set up the wheels too. So I'll catch you guys next time.